Holla holla, it's your boy George Billionaire. Monday, hustle hard, and today, as always, we're on our way to the studio to do what we do, what we love to do, like we're doing it, like we always doing it. For you know what? For you and everybody who's gonna watch this video. Life is a matter of choices, and ultimately your choices make up who you become. So in life, remember, there's so many choices we're gonna have to make, and these choices will have a ripple effect on where we end up. There are many choices that you have made, which you haven't made, which have resulted you in being where you are today. And some places resulting in you being taken back because of the bad, wrong decisions and choices that you make. Choices lead to decisions, and ultimately there's an outcome for the choices and the decisions you make. So today on Cappy Talk, make sure you tune in. We're about to get into it. We're about to get provoked, inspired, and equipped. And as always, if you haven't watched all the other Hustle Hard episodes, make sure you subscribe, click on that bell notification, and get to watch all the videos so you can be exactly what God purposed you to be. Have an awesome, amazing day. It's yours. Come on, let's go.
Uncle George Billionaire. Some of you are now calling him Uncle George Billionaire. Uncle Billy. No, let's not do that. Let's not do that. Thank you. Yes, Uncle Billy. Thank you. Billy. I just had to do that. Today with Uncle Billy, we're talking about life is a matter of choices, and every choice you make makes you. Hey, Chirungu. And whatever it is that you decide to do, that is who you are going to be. So if you are going to choose not to do a certain thing, that is what you are going to become. And please don't get me wrong, not doing something is not always bad. There are some decisions that you say, no, this I will not do, as a way of setting a trademark for yourself, as a way of setting a standard for yourself. Before I get into an example I want to give, let's see if Uncle Billy has a voice today. Uncle Billy.
Holla.
Icho.
It's your boy.
Yes.
George Billionaire.
What do you do?
With Becky K. On Cappy Talk 100.4 FM.
Tell them.
A big salute to all the pulsers, to all those amazing people tuned in. And today is going to be a day where you're going to remember, because I can tell you, wherever you are, gather as many people around as possible and get them to listen in, because the choices that you make are of paramount importance if ever you are going to reach the destination called success or fulfillment in life. So make sure you gather all the pulses around, put loud blast on your radio wherever you're listening to, get to a place where you're nice, quiet, and by yourself, so you can digest some of these things we're going to be downloading to you today.
Absolutely. I like the statement you said, is achieving success in life, because everyone wants a certain level of success, some more than others, but at the end of the day, I don't think anyone wakes up and says, I want my life to be miserable, or I don't want to be anything in life. Everyone wakes up with a ish, I want to reach this standard. I think I'll be good. And one level for someone else can be like an average level for someone. So the measurements are different. I'll give an example. During the show, one of the ladies I work with ordered food. Simple things like that, right? She ordered food, and I had just finished my shift.
Yeah.
And her food came. And then I looked at the food, and I said, yo, what is that? It was meant to be chips and Russian, but it did not look like a Russian. And then I said to her, are you going to eat that?
Yeah.
And she said, yes, Sissy Becky, I'm hungry. And I'm like, my guy, hunger will get you eating nonsense. Don't be too hungry, right? And she's like, but it was only $2. And I'm like, but listen, if you didn't have that $2, were you going to be able to feed yourself? And she said, no. I'm like, come with me. We're going to change that food, and you're going to get a proper Russian sausage because you paid for it. She looked at me like, this girl gotta be crazy.
True that.
And I said, yes, I'm crazy. Let's go. To the food store. We walked, and on my way there, I was telling them that the way you treat yourself is how people are going to treat you.
Yeah.
Right? So I could tell she was so scared to go and change the food herself. I'm like, okay, fine, give me that food and watch. The next time You don't allow people to treat you anyhow.
That's right.
Got to the food store and I was like, hi, Mkoma Murise. I sent someone to buy me food and this is what came. That Russian sausage looks a bit burnt. Can you please change it for me? The guy was too happy to change that sausage for me. And she just looked and she's like,
wow. Really?
But you know, it's because it's you. I'm like, no, you just get there with the confidence level of, I will not allow a certain level of treatment.
Yeah.
So we do this in our lives every single day. The choices that we make also makes us, exactly like what the statement says. Whatever choice you make makes you. So if she had agreed to eat that burnt Russian, she was going to just accept mediocre, average things in her life. And she's, no, it's okay. It's only because I am. When you are too hungry, you become too desperate, and then you just take nonsense. I really don't want to use the word nonsense. It's a word I wanted to use, but you know, it's not radio friendly. It's not radio friendly. But that's the thing, George. People are making choices with simple things, and it's messing them up. By the time they get to business, they don't even know how to make the proper choices of who to get into business with, whom not to get into business with, what product to get into, because they are just accepting. Zvikanzi munhu wese kubhero ari kuenda kubhero ikoko haasi kuziva kuti what is it kubhero am I going to pick out that's going to sell. They're just going for the average and for the, you know, for the lowdown. And we are saying here on Hustle Hard, we're not doing that.
True that. That's not us.
Yeah, that's not us. So
that's not
who are we? Who are we, George?
Yeah, the pulsers don't settle for average.
Yeah.
The pulsers, the people listening to this, know that biologically speaking, they won a race in their mother's womb and were born winners. And we don't settle for average. We don't settle for mediocre, for what we expect in life. And you know, your example is a great example, but there's so many other people who I repeatedly say settle for average. They settle for the JOB only. JOB abbreviated, just over broke. They just one stream of income. They settle for being in a place where they are not happy. And they live their lives for 20, 30 years unfulfilled because they are just not willing to make a choice. One thing about life, Becky, life is hard. And you have to choose your hard in this life that we live. A lot of people are choosing a hard life with just that one stream of income, with staying in the same place, with, like you gave a very simple example, settling for average. That's not how life should be.
Yeah.
And I love this. What is life? You know, life, they say, is from B to D. And what is B to D? B is from birth to death. And what's between B and D? It's C. And C is the choices that you make in life.
Like that.
So you're going to be born and you're going to die. But what happens in between the B and the C are the choices that you make. And those choices will determine where you end up in life. Now, wherever you are today is the sum total result of choices that you have made. There are choices you've made. Some of you have chosen to go to university. Some of you have chosen to remain with just that one stream of income. Some of you have chosen not even to become an entrepreneur and stay as housewives. Some of you have chose so many things in your life. But your choices determine what you become. And some of the most uncomfortable choices in life are the ones that bring you out to become a better person. We spoke on the show about a word called discipline. And discipline is a word which you have to choose to do. People who are disciplined are people who choose to do what others do not want to do, which is very uncomfortable.
Oh, that's normally the case.
But then the decisions you make, which are very uncomfortable, the ones where people mock you, the ones where people are asking, why are you waking up to go to the gym early in the morning? Why are you doing this? Those are the things that at the end of the day bring results. But majority of people are comfortable with living like everybody else. And you know, the example you gave, so many people will be like, that's what's worth $2. Let me just do it. But depending, of course, on how you see yourself, ultimately determines the person that you are.
True.
And today, Becky, life is about choices. And the choices you make ultimately defines what you become. And I look back, Becky, and I've studied quite a lot of successful people in the country because, like I always say, success leaves clues.
Yep.
And some of the most successful people, just like you and me, were born, but they knew exactly what it is they had to do, which is the choices they made for them to be where they are today. And some have been dead and gone and buried, but the choices they made still makes them still be spoken about today because they chose not to be ordinary. They chose to do what's more uncomfortable, and ultimately those choices have taken care of their great 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 grandchildren because of the choices that they made. Now today, my purpose on this show today is to help people make the right choices. Now there are a lot of people, and I've said this so many times, that the greatest hindrance to many people excelling and becoming great in life is the opinions of other people. You are so concerned with the opinions of other people on the choices that you want to make. And the choices that you make are to please people. You're living a people-pleasing life. You want people to say, wow, she's this. Some people are making, the worst choices just to please their dad and mom. I was speaking to some university graduates, and I was, sitting them down in a session we were having, and I asked them, why did you study accounting? Why did you study law? Why are you doing this? And some of their responses were, my father and mother are paying for this, therefore I have to do it. And I said, that's not a good choice.
But
I spoke to others, and another friend of mine was getting married, and I was like, is this for you? And they were like, I'm doing it because I want to make my parents happy. Imagine this. There are certain things as an individual you will do subconsciously to please other people. There are certain things that you will not do because the opinions of other people are affecting you. But when you begin to live a life, especially a life where you are unapologetically yourself and you want to do good for you, those choices will be more deliberate and more focused on accomplishing your God-ordained mandate. So for me, the choices that a lot of people have made in life are not friendly to them. They were for other people. And one thing about life, Becky, a lot of people are spending money, looking good, driving expensive cars to look good to the people who don't even care about them, at the expense of what they could be doing with that money. One thing I learned is that real money, Becky, does not make noise.
Right.
Real money, right?
Not just money.
No, real money.
Real money.
Real money does not wear the latest designer labels to get approval from the public. Real money doesn't buy a brand new car and post it. Real money does not do all those things. But those are choices because of the exposure that certain people would have gotten.
Yeah.
But to us who are getting into new money, the choices we are making, and everybody listening to this program has held some form of money, somehow, some way in their lives. But the choices they made deliberately made that money either multiply or diminish at a quick rate. There are people we've spoken about who've won the lotto, $1 million.
Yeah.
Those people are in a far worse off place a year down the line, but they had money. So all these things in life, from the people choosing the wrong university degrees to study, from the people wanting to please people by spending money recklessly, from the people being given advice by the opinions of people not to jump out and start, all these are choices that you can choose to make or not to. But the greatest and worst thing that you are going to suffer from in your old age is called regret.
Right.
And that word called regret is because you did not make some choices which you had the opportunity to make at a certain time, which could have drastically changed your life.
So let's take a look at the choices you spoke about with the university students. This university student, university fee never bereki. Is there a way that they can negotiate what they study?
Okay, so I think with university students, please parents, hear me very clearly and loudly on behalf of your children, your sons and daughters. Never push your child to do something that you think is the right path for them. if your child wants to study a particular, subject, or go on a journey with accounting, with engineering, or whatever, the best thing you can do, expose them to somebody who's done it, so that they personally have a love for it.
Yeah.
Now, I went to school with people of different color,
Right.
and you'll find that people of different color are more liberal to their children on decision making. As Africans, we were told, and I don't know who told us, Becky, that for you to be successful in life, you go to school in a classroom with 4 walls, you go to a university in a classroom with 4 walls, you graduate, and after you graduate, you go to work for somebody for the rest of your life in an office with 4 walls. And that is defined as success. That is what we were told. Most African countries, success is you having a degree and wearing that gown and throwing your head up, and you have made it. But what comes after that? This is why you find most graduates today in this country of Zimbabwe, and so many around the world, have a paper called a certificate, a diploma, a PhD, a master's,
And
that they cannot make use of.
Yeah.
Because if you go back to the decision making, the choices they made when they made that, it probably was not them. It's
Yeah.
probably because Becky was going to study accounting, so Becky, because she was a friend at school, hey, I'm also going to do that. But then we're all different. We are all uniquely made by God
True.
to become the best version that we were supposed to be. So with my friends of other color who I went to school with, their parents at a young age will bring in interest. I remember my white friends at school holidays like now. As soon as school closes, they go to the farm, right?
Yeah.
They go, they understand, oh wow, drive the tractor on the farm. This is plowing season. They know how to repair a tractor. They know how to plow. They hang around with all the workers at the farm, and then they come back. So that interest is built at a young age. With my other friends, Indians, same thing. They
Yeah,
would
at the
go
father's
school
shop.
holiday. Unomonam shop, at their parents' shop, selling buttons, machira, and all sorts, spices, etc. They are gaining business interest at a young age. So when the time comes for them to make a choice on what they want to study, some of them will say, you know what, I actually don't want to go to university. I want to do what you are doing on the farm. Because now I understand there's plowing season, there's this season, because I've been exposed to it since I was 10. Now I'm 20, I've got 10 years experience on the farm. Saga, that interest and that decision, that choice that son or daughter makes is their own choice. It's not inflicted by parents. So with parents out there, it will save you a lot of money. Trust you me. I have a parent whose son I was mentoring recently, who took their son to America, and he went and he did all this. He didn't even graduate at the end, and now he came back to Zimbabwe and he's a DJ. And guess what? He's a successful DJ.
Right.
He's making a lot of money. But imagine how much money the parents wasted instead of fueling that which your son loves to have. And with parents, they are so hard on children who do not graduate. Because guess what? There's a time frame to graduating. There's a time frame to get married. There's a time frame. It's now too much pressure.
Yeah,
Whereas
but
people,
who designed those time frames? Who put it in our minds that you have to be finished school at this age? You graduate with these honors. If you don't get honors, you didn't really graduate. You should be married at this age.
For me, being somebody who didn't go to university, I was kind of labeled in a way when all my other peers had graduated and gone to university. And it was a journey that I didn't travel. I mean, I then did pursue my further education. But you'll find today in the world, you've got people 45, 50, 60 graduating because education is imperative. You can always self-teach your things as you go on in life. So I wish people and parents could realize that let your children learn. The best teacher in life is called experience. Expose them to things that they then experience and they make decisions by themselves. Because some of these self-inflicted decisions, it's a serious issue of lack of correct parenting. Because parents are not involved in their children's upbringing. And then some of the decisions they are making are inflicted on the children. But they don't want to do
half of the things that you're
accounting.
saying.
They don't
Yeah.
want to do. They don't want to become a nurse. They don't want to become. They don't want to study psychology or sociology. But because mom said no, do mabasa ako. Imagine. And I always say, don't ever take advice from somebody who hasn't done what you want to do, because it's not going to work.
Absolutely.
There's no way you can ask how to go to war to somebody who's never been to war. There's no way you can ask somebody who's never been in business how to run a business. So it's important that expose your children to some of the people who are already in the trade that they want to get into, and this will help them to make better decisions. And even as grown-ups, some of the choices that we have made, we always hear on the show, Becky, where people say entrepreneurship is not for everybody. And I love that sentiment, because only if people knew the benefits of entrepreneurship, they would actually take serious heed of it, to want to understand the benefits of entrepreneurship. I spoke last week about the 500 ml bottle of water called a salary. That's your job.
Someone
Do
actually
Maria
commented and said no,
and
they were
yeah.
500
One auto is a
ml.
400 ml, split 500.
25, yeah.
So the choices you make either make you continue getting that 500 meals called your salary, right? For years. But as an entrepreneur, yes, it's difficult. Yes, it may take 2, 3, 4, 5 years to establish.
Yeah.
But the rewards are far more. They outweigh the 12 months by 500 meals, which is 6 liters of water, compared in the long term, how you get a great 10,000 liters of water on one contract or one thing you do once off.
Back
Which
to the discipline you
which
spoke
equates to how many years of just drinking that 500
Yeah,
ml.
yeah.
So the choices we make in life are really going to affect us. And one of the loudest voices I want you to remember is this voice that's speaking to you today. When you are of age, when you remember, we used to hear on Capital, Becky and George used to constantly say, don't rely on one stream. Increase your streams of income. Make deliberate choices today that are going to be beneficial tomorrow. Plant today. There's no better time to plant than now. It's a choice.
Yeah.
There are people who have money, but they are only consumers. They only get money and eat. Yet there are those who get money and they plow, right? Those who plow seem to not have anything. Those who consume look good, drive good.
Come on
they are
now.
traveling. But those choices, 5-10 years from now, those same people that you are seeing, balling, bubbling, popping bottles, living the life, when your seeds begin to germinate and create a harvest, you'll be able to do that and so much more, because guess what? You will have a steady income coming in, whereas those who are just eating and consuming, vakamirira end of the month, vakamirira things to happen. But then with you are creating, you're making a choice to say, you know what, I want to create this empire which is identified by me. And for me, I said 12 years, in 2012 I began Pro Air. That was a choice, and not a popular choice to many. People said it will not work. What do you know, George, about air conditioning? People's opinions. George, this is not going to work. Why don't you stay with your 300 salary? It's better than you trying to do something that hasn't been done. But look at it, Becky.
Is a liar.
You can say that again. But look at that, Becky. It's now been 12 years, and that business called Pro Air, which I started, is now something that is sustaining not only me, but my immediate family.
True.
But had I remained on the $300 salary, get it correctly, I constantly say this, I worked for 6 years of my life before I started Pro Air. Ndakambo hustler, ndakamboita this, that, and the other. But then I chose to begin the journey of entrepreneurship. But had I not imagined, would I be living the life I'm living? Would I have the disposable income? Would I be able to sustain most of the things I'm doing? And the answer is no. So to he and she who is listening, there are choices you need to make. There are things only you and you alone are good at. We have Becky K in the studio, who is an MC, who is a TV personality, who is a radio personality, who is a brand ambassador for so many things. Trust you me, that's not one stream of income, but that's somebody saying, I'm good with this. And why just settle for radio alone?
When I can do
when I can do a whole lot more.
And questions coming through, George. 0719 100 404 is the WhatsApp number to get in touch. If you're joining us, whether online or straight from the radio, please do let us know where you were listening to us from, and then you can send through your questions. 0719 100 404. If you're out of the country, you have to put the country code +263. And then, the number 719 100 404. We are talking about life is a matter of choices, and every choice you make makes you. We're going to take a short break, get into the messages. And when I say short, I mean like really short. So start typing, get those messages coming through. All right, George. So before we get into the questions, the comments, the contributions, the messages that have come through, this really awakened a lot of sentimental memories for certain people. Is there anything that you want to say, like just as a wrap up before we get into the messages?
I like to say that you are free to make whatever choice you want to, but you are not free from the consequences that are going to face because of the choices that you make. So in this life, you are free to make any choices, but remember, there are certain consequences, and some of those consequences are going to be your children many years from now, asking you, Nai Baba, Nai Mama, when others were doing this, why weren't you doing the same thing?
So it's okay. Make the choices. You're free to make whatever choice.
And this is why we're here, Becky, because this is good knowledge for some people who may not want to hear the truth. But the truth is clear, and the truth alone shall set you free. If you do not make the right choices, there are going to be consequences in the near future. Again, when I say when you lose that job, when something happens, when artificial intelligence, when the robots, and they are very near, they are self-driving cars, they are automated service stations, automated takeaways. Banks already have felt it. So very soon, automation is coming through. So some of the choices, you are deliberately not using that piece of land behind your yard. You are deliberately not using that gift you have to bring in an income. Don't wait until it's too late, because we don't want you to suffer from regret.
I like that. Getting into our first message for today, George, you spoke about real money not making noise. Okay, so the long short of this message is, so when I make it, am I allowed to just show signs? I won't make noise, but am I allowed to show signs that I've made it?
It's always important to celebrate every win.
Right,
no
so
matter how
celebrate.
Small. So celebrate, but celebrate in context of knowing where you want to go. The moment you reach a certain level, I've always said the best time to kill a crocodile is just when it has had something to eat.
It's relaxed.
It's relaxed, it's chilled. So don't relax too much when you think you have made it. Always be hungry. Always invest more into that thing you're successful in. If you had one branch, let's open another. Let's increase that now stream of income. And there are many people out there who have made it, but some of them you will never know, because yes, they celebrate. They can go on holiday, they can buy themselves a car to reward themselves, but they're not popping or doing reckless things. And which is why I say, if you look at the most successful, rich, wealthy people in the country, you don't see them flaunting money, posting pictures in an aeroplane. There are levels to things. So it's important you also hang around those type of people. And with choices, it's also about association. There are certain associations that when you make money, they tell you, hey, let's have a party. Let's have a housewarming party. Let's have a... But all of it is consuming. Rather than have a party, reinvest that money. Focus on building things that make sense. And success makes noise, Jäger. You don't have to announce your success. When you make it, trust you me, people will know it and they will definitely see it. But you don't have to be the one who announces it. They'll just see. Yeah.
All right. Without giving out any names, another message is, Andisaka Maria Ningi. Imagine noise, guys. It's not real money, because Tomona everywhere.
I always say to people, when somebody makes it in life, and get this correctly, I hope people take this correctly. You will never reach a level of somebody you mock in life. Know that. If you cannot clap
say
hands,
it loud, say it loud.
yeah. If you cannot clap hands, celebrate somebody who has become successful and done what you have not done, you yourself will never taste or see what that person has achieved. So if your life is about analyzing other people's successes, yet you are talking about things you actually do not have tangible proof of. To that person who wrote that message, there's so many people in the country who are making great strides, but I wish they knew that some of these things that they are doing are actually legit and they don't know about it, but just because they are quick to speak. Rather, focus on your life and how you can better yourself. If you see yourself talking about other people, you are very far from making progress in your own life. As painful as that is, it's important. Stop focusing on others. The thing that comes out of your mouth is the latest news about ningi, ningi, ningi. But you can't take deliberate choice to talk about what you want to achieve, do, and become in life.
Absolutely. Another one says, hi Becky, hi George. Toda kutenda kuna George, tiri kudzidza. Tiri kutotya zveshuwa kuita zvimwe zvinhu nokuti zvinozoita here. Apa unenge wawasiya basi. Hanzi zvinoita here. Do I leave the job?
Yeah.
What am I doing?
And what we said last week is, what if it succeeds? As Africans, we have this lack of self-belief. I don't know where it comes from, but I'm sure it comes from our upbringing and our parents and all the associations we have. To that lady, to that man, I would say, what if it succeeds? I always like to take risks, and those who take the most risks in life are those who have made it. So I'm very comfortable, always contemplating, I don't think it will work. Remember what we said, the graveyard is the richest place. With their ideas, because they didn't fulfill them. And that's exactly what God has sent Becky K to do on this planet, so that her voice could go around the world and conquer so many things. So George would install air conditioning units around Africa and the world. That was my purpose. But if you don't start, madam or sir, I promise you, that regret, that thing is going to knock at your deathbed and say, I wish you brought us to life. Because you could have changed the economy, you could have changed Africa with that thing that you're holding on to. And that thing is specifically given to you. So, if we didn't have a Strive Masiwa, if he gave up on his dream, if we didn't have a Philip Mataranyika, so many names we can mention, we wouldn't have all these products and services we have.
Right. Another one coming from Mr. C. Mr. C says, technical fault. Okay, we're back. Mr. C says, I did sciences at A level in the mid-2000s. We used to joke that if you get 15 points, then you're going to medical school, whether you like it or not. 2 of my friends wanted to study engineering, but unfortunately, they got 15 points and they had to go to medical school. Had to.
Imagine. And that's the thing with life.
But they wanted to do engineering.
And that's the thing with life. And it's amazing if you actually analyze most entrepreneurs, most of them, hear me correctly, most entrepreneurs, what they studied at university is not actually what they are doing. Most of them, hear me correctly. A few who specifically knew from a young age, I want to be an aircraft engineer. Yes, they did that. But very few. And it's something that we need to also deliberately make. Like I said earlier, make the right choices. Don't inflict choices into your children or into your personal lives. Make decisions and choices that will benefit you. Because this life, at the end of the day, there's nobody coming to rescue you. You are responsible for where you end up in this life. And the choices that you make are the ones that are going to determine where you end up.
Andina maitami, iri vhangeri rekuti titange something ndakarinzwa. Ndakaita something. Ndakatenga sewing machine. And she sent a picture of the sewing machine.
I love that. The greatest secret to getting ahead in life is getting started. Kungotanga. Kusiri kufande kopi. Just start. Once you do that one order, 2, The next thing, you're doing uniforms for the whole school. The whole community knows. Maka Garapamba, people are bringing you money because they know, no, that lady there does up our hostelry and all that stuff. So it's important to start. And when you start, be unapologetically proud of what you do.
Yeah.
I wish people could take something from George Billionaire by how much he loves Pro Air, how every day he's wearing his brand. He doesn't want somebody to forget about Pro Air wherever they are because he's wearing it. So on your WhatsApp status, on your Facebook, wherever you are, let people know. Drive a car with your branding so that you don't miss any opportunity. It begins with a choice to say, you know what? But for now, I'm going to push that thing that actually makes me fulfill my purpose. So it's important that she's bought a machine, but now be very aggressive in making everybody in your community, in your church, wherever you go, know, hey, if you buy a suit, give it to Becky. She will adjust it and
She
deliver
will
it to
out.
you. And that's it. So you need that passion. And I'm happy that you've at least started. That's the most amazing step.
Yeah.
But now be very aggressive and passionate about it.
Right. Taps the designer Pachitungi Zanzi. Thank you, George. Wakandipa confidence. Once upon a time, I was that guy. The $200 salary guy. And I quarter, but Wakandipa Simba and took the entrepreneurship route, and I'm slowly getting there. So again, thank you for speaking to me.
Wow, that's Simba.
Taps the designer.
Taps the designer. Please give Taps a complimentary ticket to my mentorship program.
Oh yeah, on the 7th of September, we've got another masterclass that is happening in Belvedere. If you want to find out more information, you're going on to George Billionaire's page. So Taps, the designer, there's a ticket for you.
Taps and the lady who bought a sewing machine.
Oh, Taps, and I think it's my time, if I'm not
Yes,
mistaken.
so those two, please, you are complimentary invited by me to my masterclass.
How much are the tickets?
Where we're going to be talking about establishing, branding, and running a successful business. So the tickets are $25.
Right.
They're limited seats. We nearly have a full house of 50 people in the class now. So to those who still want, please register, scan the QR code, and be a part of that. So to those two pulsers, they are getting complimentary tickets. You see, it's always good to vunza my question.
Very good.
Or vunza my questions, you always get a little something from there. So those two numbers, please come through to that amazing masterclass, and I tell you, it will help you to become a better version of yourself.
Anzi nditori pabasa kutaura izvezvi. This is another one. Anzi sorry, handisi kushaina hangu asi ndine tuma degree, but ndinosona zvekuti what? Okay, sorry, I need to read this again. Okay, ndinosona zvekuti hakudaidzwe anonzwa. Ndinotenda Uncle Billy nekuramba vachitikurudzira.
It's important, and to everybody out there, let's understand that everybody has a gift, but your gift will usher you into the presence of kings. Yes, you may have degrees, but always follow your gift. If it's designing, if it's sewing, trust you me, one day, time and opportunity is going to present itself. But let your gift, let that business start. Tanga now whilst you still have time. It's a choice. You don't want to just be doing your children's hair, to just be doing your children's makeup, when you could be being a blessing to the whole community, and in reward, they will pay you for your products and services that you're offering. So the greatest secret to getting ahead is starting, and let's all from today onwards make the right choices, because we do not want to die with regret for not taking the choices and making the right choices.
Talking about time, it's 1 o'clock. I don't know what happened to the time. It's 1 o'clock. Stand by for the news. Wonderful.
Good day.
So yeah, another day on the grind, done with Asahara. And I hope you're going to start making the right choices as you go on in your life, because life is about choices. And these choices are only going to haunt you because of the things you decided to do or not to do. Let's make the right choices.